And welcome back to Janky AF and Year of the Aerostar, episode 23, Remix edition. This has not happened often, it's not happened yet here, but occasionally a post will be updated, and this one has been updated, so I can't call this a new episode, but I have to, of course, bring you all the updates on this Aerostar. So without further ado, here we have a 1986 Ford Aerostar XLT. Still in off-white, still with 200,000 miles, still in Warren, Michigan. It has a price on it now, which is wonderful. It's almost as if they watched my video and heard me, cry a little bit about the fact that I don't like a 1, 2, 3, 4 pricing. I like the seller to put out a price, and I don't know if they watched this or not, but if they did, thanks for watching. Janky do thanky. And now it has a price on it, $1,500. Wonderful. In addition to that, as you can see, we have a bevy of new pictures, something I also called for, particularly of the interior as well, and we'll get to that. So just an amazing sequence of events here. I bemoan the fact also that there was only a single picture, and now we have more pictures. It's like, it's magic. It's amazing. And of course, the first picture they present here, and it's a new listing picture, we talked about all the accessories that were on the vehicle last time. And we have maybe the granddaddy of all the accessories. We have a giant ladder here on the back of this van. Now, normally this is only on sort of like camper vans and things of that nature. But we have a beautiful van, a beautiful ladder here. And I guess that probably would help if you wanted to put stuff on your factory mounted roof rack that we also see here. So, and if nothing else, it's just another bauble and bolt on to, gussy up your Aerostar with. These pictures look wonderful. We can see in a little bit more detail the fine paint job and pinstriping on this wonderful Aerostar, and it does indeed look very, very clean. Now, the description has changed very minimally. It seems like they actually subtracted from the description last time. Needs work, very little rust, runs and drives, willing to trade, wheeler, seat 7, super clean van, trade for other classic cars or trucks, and now that's actually an addition, even though there's less here. So now it's not just four-wheelers or ATV type vehicles that the seller is willing to trade for, also classic cars. So if you got an old classic out there and maybe you're looking to swap into something a little bit more trendy or popular or unique, perhaps you would consider a Ford Aerostar. So let's get into the pictures now. The second picture is, of course, this original one, and we can see it looks more like a cream color here in this beautiful sunlight, the way it's hitting it. And these pictures are probably a little bit more accurate in terms of what it looks like, and it is indeed this off-white. Now, again, I've never seen this color, I don't think, on an Aerostar. You see the utility vans, and they're like a, more of a Arctic white. So a very, very beautiful color. We'll go back to the original picture here. A couple things to note that I did a little bit of Aerostar sleuthing that we'll get to. But first off, we finally see the beautiful interior, and it is this gray, two-tone gray with red piping, which is very, very nice. It does have this amazingly large speaker that's been put in here. Actually mounted quite nicely, I would say, even though the aesthetics of the speaker itself are not quite my taste, but that's all right. And we can see even a better version here. It looks like we have, I don't know, maybe an additional speaker here and then another speaker here. It's just got a lot of speakers going on. So the sound system, it would appear, is quite amazing. Now we have a kicker. Is that it can't be a sub, right? Right in the middle of the thing there. It needs some more oomph behind it. But takes up a big part of the door there. We also have some little, is that a factory thing? This little red thing there? I don't know what that is. You can see the beautiful sort of light gray interior. Very, very nice, and all sorts of things going on there. Now we see some foam and some electronics and other things going there. Perhaps that is a foreshadowing of what's to come. Okay, first things first. Okay, so we get another shot of the interior. We do have these beautiful two-tone seats with the red piping. I always talk about the seats. It looks like this is sort of in progress, and luckily they've gotten their caffeine for the day in this McDonald's coffee, so that's good. It seems like they're all ready to go. I would, of course, inquire in the seller and see at what stage of the process this is in, because the center console is completely taken apart here, which is interesting. I've never seen this taken apart. It's funny that these little sections of the center console actually remain intact while your main gauge cluster gets taken out. And of course your audio controls here are completely ripped out. So hopefully this is in progress and it's will be completed at some time. Otherwise that's quite the project for the new owner. We did mention these grab handles with all the accessories last time, and this is you can see it in more detail here. It's almost it's got a very see-through portion here which you actually grab onto, and then a chrome bars here. Very, very nice. I will try not to be too dirty here, but this does kind of look like something you might find in an adult store. I'll leave it at that. Another thing that we start to see here that I didn't really notice last time is that this sort of lower portion of your two-tone is actually chrome. We'll see it better in another picture, but I just figured it was like, gray or something like that. In the first picture, you can't really tell. It almost just like looks like a faded gray with some paint fade. But that is actually chrome. Again, we get another great view of the little fog lights here. And the bumper even really has a shimmer on it. It looks like they've been grilling as well to add to their energy to fix up this Aerostar. Very, 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 very good condition bumper, I must say. Now, I'm not sure if something is missing here or if that's a factory. I can't really remember, to tell you the truth, but I think maybe there was some fog lights here. Looks like there might be some screw holes here going on. And then we, of course, have this little lower lip, this little diffuser, which I'm not sure was factory, but maybe this was a bumper taken off of a Ford Aerostar or something like that. I'm not sure what's going on with these little, oh yeah, and that's the other thing. So this, obviously your newer pictures, because your bug guard now here is gone. So I don't know what happened to that. So we've had some accessories added, some subtracted. Again, beautiful Aerostar badging right here with the red XLT, marking it as sort of an earlier Aerostar. And of course this is funny because it has the V6 badging on it, and we were sort of debating whether or not that was factory. That does look like a Ford V6 logo from this era, and of course the Aerostar in '86 did come with a V6, the 2.8 liter. Another interesting thing is that this light bar here is now also gone. I'm not sure if during this electronics refresh some of these things were removed. I'm not sure quite what happened. The funny thing here too, I'm just noticing, I'm wondering if this is a captain's chair in the rear rather than a bench seat, which is extremely rare to get actually captain's chairs. So if that's the case, that's a really, really cool kind of setup to have. And of course we get another really great view of this Aerostar signage that I talked about at length in the first video, how it mimics the Aerostar electronic four-wheel drive badging, but at some point this graphic has been changed to get rid of the all-wheel drive, which, credit to the seller, is more accurate because it's actually not an all-wheel drive model, but it simply says Aerostar XLT electronic. What is electronic? We're not quite sure, but with all the stereo systems that we see going on in it, maybe it's simply an homage to the massive amount of electronics that are in the vehicle. So in that way, maybe it's actually completely accurate, which again, credit to the seller for doing a great job accessorizing this van, even though some of the accessories seem to have left us now. Again, great shot of your chrome, and really just great shot of the body here. You can see how nice the paint is, glistening in the sun. You have, again, another little sort of lower pinstripe. Usually the pinstripes are up higher, so that's an interesting positioning of the pinstripe, but I gotta say, very, very good condition. Detailed pictures of your wheel wells here. Again, very, very, very light surface rust, but incredible condition. Even sort of like, your inner rubber here and portions of your frame, you can see looks to be in excellent condition. Another great picture of the ladder rack and just picture of the vehicle overall, and you can see the great condition of the paint. Now what's very interesting here is, unfortunately, the resolution's not quite good enough for me to make out 100%, but this looks very similar to the badge that I have on my 1986 Aerostar, which is, of course, the electronic fuel injection badging, which, if that is the case, then again, your electronic here would make more sense, because now maybe that's referring to the fuel injection system. It's electronic fuel injection. So again, it's the deletion of the all-wheel drive portion here is making more and more sense as we continue our Aerostar sleuthing. However, if this is electronic fuel injection, to my knowledge, in '86, the Aerostar's two engine options were the fuel-injected 4-cylinder, the Lima engine, and the carbureted 2.8-cylinder, the 2.86-cylinder V6, which would mean if this indeed is a V6 Aerostar, then it probably can't be the fuel-injected version, unless I'm wrong about that and the 3.0 was somehow in there in '86, but I'm almost positive that that was not an option from the very beginning, and that it was 2 years before the 3-liter engine came out. Not doubting that this is '86, because the interior looks to be, of that first generation interior. Not that an '88, I guess, could have had the 3-liter in it, and perhaps it's an '88. But again, I don't think on those V6 engines, after they put the 3-liter and the 4-liter in, I think that badge bragging about electronic fuel injection went away, because you were no longer distinguishing it from the V6 that was carbureted. So I know that's a jumbled mess, but if you're following along here, it would seem that something is not quite, we're lacking a bit of continuity. Not a judgment whatsoever, and I'm all for just slapping as many possible badges on a car as you possibly can. I have to say, as an aside here, I know it's sort of like the cardinal sin and a huge societal and cultural faux pas to gussy up your badges, or you'll see, like, I've been looking at a lot of these Pontiac Fiero kit cars that have been turned into Lamborghinis and Ferraris and all this, and that goes into, like, a lot of the Kias and Hyundais were kind of mimicking Mercedes designs, and then you'll have even people that just get they just completely send it, to use a modern parlance, and they'll just rip off all the badges of their car and put a completely it's not even like changing a Toyota to a Lexus or something like that. It's like they're just slapping a Mercedes badge on a Chevy, or slapping a BMW badge on a, what have you. So I'm not against that at all. I think it's funny. I think you can do whatever you want with a car, and I don't think you're really fooling anybody. So I don't think it's, something that's like libelous or slanderous to like claim that something is not what it is. I just think at the very least it's an aspirational thing. You're saying that you maybe aspire to have this thing, and you're faking it till you make it, or whatever sort of cultural hustle culture slogan you want to assign to it. But I don't mind. I think it's humorous. I think it's funny. I think it's whether you like it or not, it's a undeniable part of car culture. So I accept it, and I think it's funny. So the badging is all over the place, but that makes me wonder now, of course, now maybe we'll get a third video of a remix of this car. Maybe we can see some pictures of the engine if you're watching seller, and some additional pictures of the interior would be great, as well as some more information about the van generally, what sort of mechanical condition it's in. Now, of course, I could reach out to the seller and ask him directly, but it's kind of more fun for me to just sleuth around and poke around and, maybe hope and wish that we get some additional information about this vehicle. Maybe we have a little slight crack in the bumper here. That's completely normal. These can be remedied somewhat just with body filler and some, handiwork, a little mesh tape perhaps. Then, of course, you probably wouldn't have the great pristine factory paint job on it. But, that's your decision if you decide to go ahead and buy this Aerostar. All the badging, the Ford badge here looks, resembles it to be an earlier Aerostar. Again, beautiful chrome here. And we have another accessory that we didn't know about before, which is this beautiful exhaust tip coming out of your tailpipe here. Again, I always talk about how the Aerostar, I like to make the claim that it's a side exhaust, or a semi-side exhaust, a partial side exhaust, because it doesn't really come straight out the back. It does exit technically on the side of the vehicle. So of course, side exhaust is reminiscent of like the Dodge Viper, or a lot of early Corvettes, particularly C2s and C3s often had a side exhaust on them. Shelby's and stuff like that, so it's seen as like a real visceral sports car thing. So to see a side exhaust on an Aerostar, or to claim that it has one, is just another funny thing for me to sort of engage in and talk about. Looks like the badging is on both sides here, the Aerostar electronic badging, so that's very, very nice. And does look like maybe you have, I guess you just have a grab handle, you don't have the light bar on either side of the vehicle now. Again, wheel well shots, very, very clean. The tires look to be decent, and of course these aftermarket wheels. Now I think we can get that was the other thing we were wondering about, is the center caps of these wheels. I can't quite make out what that says. Again, I doubt these. I'm pretty sure these wheels are not factory. I'm wondering if they came from a Mustang or some Ford OEM product, or if they're just completely aftermarket. But certainly I would say they fit the vehicle quite nicely. So there you go. I wanted to give a little update on this beautiful off-white, amazing 1986 Aerostar XLT. It now has a price on it. You have a point from which to negotiate in good faith. $1,500. Warren, Michigan. Again, we're not... Oh, that's the other thing I didn't mention, is that this great bubble sort of rain guard seems to have disappeared from the vehicle, as we no longer see it. On this window here, it looks like it has disappeared again. Now it looks like also we have an overhead display here, which again, I didn't know came on the 86s. I thought that was later, but you know, I learn things about the Aerostar all the time. As we know, it is a bottomless pit of information to be discovered and learned and appreciated. But maybe that overhead display was equipped on some of the more upscale Aerostars even back in '86. If you know for sure, please let us know here at Year of the Aerostar. But just a beautiful, beautiful van, no doubt about it. Very clean. It's there's a little work to be done cleaning up some of the particulars and fine details here. But just a beautiful van, and I'm glad that we get to see what looked to be some sort of updated pictures of the vehicle. Again, we can see very clearly here that this rain guard is gone, and maybe with it came this light bar. I'm not sure what exactly happened. Perhaps they were transitioned to another Aerostar. We really don't know. Certainly it's kind of begging for one now with these holes, and it would be nice to see that put back on, and this Aerostar really just sort of finished off and brought to its beautiful full 80s glory. So we do have a pinstripe up here, again in super good condition, and another one down here, which is very interesting. I'd love to dig in more to the paint codes of this year of the Aerostar and see if this was offered. It is a really beautiful color, and seems period accurate for the time for sure. But I just have never seen one in that color, that particular shade of off-white. So there you have it, a little update on our beautiful 1986 Aerostar in Warren, Michigan. And maybe the case will continue, or maybe one of you fine viewers out there will actually manage to track this thing down. And if you do, please holler at us, because we'd love to get all the full details about this beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous, striking, handsome, dashing Ford Aerostar. That's it for now. Thanks for joining us all as always, and until next time, Janky do Thanky.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.